Hi, welcome to this video on adverbs of manner. We're not going to talk about any other type of adverb, just adverbs of manner today. If you're wondering what that is, listen to this because I'm going to explain that right now. The adverb of manner, in Dutch we call this thing a bijwoord, een bijwoord van manier, and it always explains how something is done. And I've got examples of that, immediately showing you when you can use it, because there are 4 ways to use it. And that is with verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and sentences. Well, that part, by the way, you don't really have to know yet. That will be in the other video when we talk about adverbs versus adjectives. But just to give you some idea of what an adverb of manner is. For instance, when we use it with a verb, it'll describe how the verb is done. So she drove home quickly. Quickly is the adverb, and it explains how the driving was done in a very fast way. Or for to, where we use it with an adjective, it'll explain how much, for instance, of the adjective there is, or in what way the adjective was done. In this case, it gives us an indication of how much of it there was. So she's not just a little bit nice, no, she's extremely nice, with extremely being the adverb. The same thing can be done with adverbs. It can give extra information about an adverb, about how it's done or to what extent, to how much, like extremely quickly. It's not just quick. It's not a little bit quick. No, it's extremely quickly. So how is it done? Extremely quickly. And actually, it can also say something about a full sentence. This one's a little bit of a weird one because it usually gives some kind of opinion. Like, fortunately, gelukkig, she drove safely. Okay, well, we've seen it now, so that's fine. Enough for this bit anyway, because this video will focus mainly on how to form an adverb. So what does it look like? Let's start on the basic rule for that, okay? So the basic form for making an adverb in English is take the adjective, add ly at the end. So you take the adjective quick and you add ly at the end and you get quickly. Or extreme, add ly and you get extremely. Basic form. Of course, there are spelling exceptions because it's English. There are always spelling exceptions. So there are 3 main categories of spelling exceptions. There are a couple more out there, but they're not really categories, so you'll pick up on them over time usually. Let's go over the main categories though. Any adjective that ends in a Y will get illy in the adverb. So happy becomes happily, for instance, or creepy becomes creepily. Any adjective that ends in IC, fantastic, gets ally in the adverb form, so it's fantastically, spelled like that. That one's a bit of a tricky one because when you say it, you say fantastically. So you don't really hear the extra letters, so please try and remember that one. At least here you heard it, but here you don't really hear it so much. This one's, again, according to what you hear, because adverbs that end in le just get the e replaced with a y, so terrible becomes terribly. And that's exactly how you would say it. So basically that one's the hardest one because it doesn't sound the way you write it. To make the story a little bit more complex, there are other exceptions, and they are not spelling exceptions. No, they are irregular forms. So there are a couple of adjectives out there that don't have a li form for the adverb, so they don't work with the basic rule of adjective plus li. So for instance, good, it's not goodly. That doesn't exist, that word. It's well for the adverb. Same goes for fast, which is still fast in the adverb form, and also for hard and late and early. Early would have been an interesting one anyway, because then we would have gotten something like early or something. No, that doesn't exist. Please note that the word hardly does exist. It just doesn't mean the same. And the same goes for lately. These words exist, but they are just not really the full adverb form of this adjective. So please remember that they do exist, but they have both forms, and you'll pick up over time as to when to use which. So these are the exceptions. And with exceptions, you just have to study them by heart. So study these by heart. Write them down carefully in your notebook. Okay. For now, I think it's time you practice a little bit. Here are 7 sentences. And in each of these sentences, there is a word in bold and in brackets. That word needs to be made into an adverb. So make the words smooth, wonderful, good, sad, happy, early, and strange into an adverb, please. Put me on pause, and when you're ready, you can start me again. I think you've started me again by now then. Let's go over the answers together, okay? So here we go. These are the adverb forms of these words that I gave you. So the process runs smoothly. They sang wonderfully. John speaks English well, because remember that was an exception. Good had well as an adverb. Sadly, there's no food in the house. In 5, we get a spelling exception, happily, with ILY. In 6, I always start early, and in 7, it was strangely quiet. Um, and those were all of those, actually. And having said that, that's all I can tell you about the form of the adverb. The next step would be to know when to use an adverb and when to use an adjective, but that will be in a separate video. So if that's what you're interested in, please click on that video on your playlist. For now, I'm going to say goodbye with the traditional end screen and wish you lots and lots of luck with your practice. Bye bye.